States. Local elite athlete and 2016 Olympic Trials Marathon qualifier, 2017 winner of the Chicago BTN Big Ten and Plainfield South High School math teacher and cross-country coach. Lisa Waitman of Australia, three-time Olympian and winner of the 2013 Melbourne Marathon and the 2010 Nagano Marathon. Bernard Kipyego of Kenya, 2016 third-place finisher in the Chicago States, 2017 U.S. 20K champion and the U.S. debut marathon record holder. Tiranisti Baba of Ethiopia, 5,000-meter world record holder, three-time Olympic gold medalist, and the third fastest female marathon runner of all time. And Florence Kiplagat of Kenya, the two-time and defending Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion and the former half marathon world record holder. Headlining the men's field, Diego Estrada of the United States, 2015 U.S. half marathon champion, 2012 10,000-meter Olympian, and the first American to cross the line in 8th place at the 2016 Chicago Marathon. Stanley Biwott of Kenya, 30K world record holder, 2015 New York City Marathon champion, and the 7th fastest man in history over the marathon distance. Lisa of Ethiopia, 2016 Olympic Marathon silver medalist, 2016 Tokyo Marathon champion, and 2012 Chicago Marathon runner-up. Galen Rupp of the United States, 2017 Boston Marathon runner-up, 2017 U.S. 20K champion, 2016 Olympic Marathon bronze medalist, 8-time U.S. 10,000-meter champion, and current holder of 4 American records. Dennis Kimeto of Kenya, current marathon world record holder and Chicago Marathon course record holder, 2014 Berlin Marathon champion, and 2013 Chicago Marathon champion. And Abel Kirui of Kenya, defending Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion and 2012 Olympic Marathon silver medalist and 2009 and 2011 Marathon world champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon Elite Field.
Man, I love the personality on some of these guys. You know, a little swagger going, a little dancing going. It's great. So we're just seconds before this race is about to begin, guys. What's going through their heads?
And say, go ahead, you take it, because it always requires less energy to be running behind someone. But I think Tim's exactly right. If it doesn't happen, I think he has enough motivation that he wants to run a 2:06, a 2:07 sort of time. And the slower you run those early miles, sometimes you'll lock into that pace, and it's hard to jump out of that pace. And so it'll be interesting, as Tim said, this first mile, let's see how they get out and roll. Right now, it looks like it's fairly modest. There's a big group of people running together. They're kind of straight across, and I think we'll see all the major players and see who wants to become the default leader, as it were.
Who's most likely to do that? Is it Feyesa Lelesa, who's been known as a front runner?
Yeah, he is an aggressive runner. He likes to lead. He likes to take it up pretty hard, and that's an advantage for everybody, of course. You know, if you're in the pack, you kind of want your training to be reflected in the performance you produce on the day. I think a lot of people come out of tactical races, apart from the winner, pretty frustrated because they put in months, at least puts in the hard work through that first hour. You're kind of pleased it's been set up for you.
But isn't the danger there the fact that person might be prepared for being a front runner and might take off and you might not be able to catch him? That's a risk, right?
That is a risk.
Well, it is a risk, but your eyes are open, and if someone makes that move, they are going to cover that move and go with them. For one, it's going to be easier if you get in their draft. And so
is there really that much, I'm sorry to interrupt, is there really that much drafting? We hear about a lot in NASCAR racing. Is there really that much drafting?
Not as much as in cycling or racing that way, but there is a psychological advantage as well, just to get behind and just be kind of pulled along. And what you want to do in these early miles, in these big pack races, is just kind of tuck yourself in and almost lose yourself and get through the initial 20 miles as easy as possible so that you can actually race over the last 6 miles.
So you're saying for those first 20 miles, it's almost like, in a way, they're coasting?
Well,
I mean, I know it's ludicrous to say that, but you know what I mean,
not
right?
coasting, but certainly the tough part is that at the end, and they're going slow. They're going slow.
That is slow.
They're going slow
there's
right
probably
now.
6 or 8 guys in there who'd be delighted if his first half were about 63.5, 64 minutes. That sets it up nicely. And of course, for the women, well, it's a mixed race. So the top women, Tiranisti Baba and Florence Kiplagat, will have good quality men around them who are hoping to run 2:16, 2:18, 2:20. And if they can key off that pack of men, in a way, they do have pace against the ladies. It's a different situation.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating to watch the big group and see who does sort of pull away right away. How does track factor in? You talked a little bit about the track background of some of the athletes. How does that factor in?
It's nice having a track background because you probably have some pretty good sprint speed at the end. Galen Rupp, for example, I believe has the fastest 10K time in the field, 26:40s. And so at the end of the race, you can draw upon that to kick. But one other thing that I've discovered is your track speed is not always the same at the end of 26.2 miles as it would be if you were going fresh from the line. But it does give you a bit of a psychological advantage early on.
Is there danger here of guys tripping over each other, or are they?
There is very much indeed.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pack of, 30 guys there probably at the front. They're very, very tightly bunched. They're moving pretty slowly. I don't like to see it meandering as slowly as this. I like to see them picking it up. That's Aaron Braun out in front, who is looking, Aaron, after wavering in his career about whether or not he should actually retire. He's looking to have a strong run here as Aaron, and I suspect he's as frustrated as anybody that he has to be out there on his own running at what looks like a 5:20, 5:30 mile pace.
Yeah, Aaron Braun's a 2:12 marathoner at his best, and I'm sure he's probably running about that pace right now, so that would be 5:02, 5:03 pace that he's probably taking off at, and probably disappointed that he's leading right now.
Very interesting.
It is really interesting. Okay, so we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And as we head to break, we'll be reliving some of the great moments over the last 40 years, both in the marathon and in the world. Here's NBC5's Lauren Petty. And we're back with you. Here we are watching the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, the 40th running. A slow pace so far, guys. That's the takeaway.
Pedestrian for that first mile, 5:18, which is about 2:18 marathon pace. And so, yes, they're definitely waiting for a leader. The leader right now is Aaron Braun, but they certainly want to run faster than 5:18, and I think they have picked it up a little bit. Remember, that first mile is gradually uphill, and so that would contribute to some of the slowness, but they really need to find a leader who wants to get out and jumpstart this.
You can get away with 2 or 3 miles of pretty slow running, and in a way it's quite nice. It sort of sets it up, it warms it up, it builds, but actually very soon they ought to be clicking along at about 5-minute tempo if they want to end up with a pretty decent time. Already it looks like, the halfway time is not going to be lightning quick, but you can make amends for that in the second half.
Okay. Maybe not setting any course records here, but will be fun to watch.
Yes, it will be.
So among the people enjoying the race today is the Bank of America Chicago Market President Paul Lambert. Actually, he ran this race last year, but this year he'll get to hold the tape for the men's elite finish. Paul is with our own Alicia Roman. Thanks so much. We want to head right out to the field, and the lead pack, Todd Williams, is watching them. What do you see in there, Todd?
Right now I'm seeing Aaron Braun. I mean, through the first mile, we were at about 5:05, and then we came through the 2 mile in 10:07. But, to me, Aaron Braun is a really strong road racer. His PR is, right in the 2:12, 2:13 range. So he's not afraid. I think he's got a goal in mind, so he's pushing the pace himself because he has his own goal. But the rest of the players are in it. No surprises right now, but he's just feeling each other out. So about 2:11 pace.
Guys, what are your thoughts on where it is now? Aaron Braun's still there.
But as you take a look there, they're making a move on
They
him.
are starting to make a move.
Yeah, and I think that's good news because I think they're actually going faster than we initially thought. I think that split we got on the women was maybe for the women for 5:13. So the fact that they have strung together a couple of 5:03, 5:05 miles, 2:12 pace right now, which we would expect for Aaron Braun. So it's not as pedestrian as we thought, but still, we need to get a leader up there. We need to get someone besides the Aaron Braun up there to kind of kick-start this, as it were, to get them running a little bit faster. But there's really not that much incentive for them right now, and I think right now we're just seeing many of the East Africans looking at one another and saying, "You take it." And no, thank you. I'll stay here. You go ahead and take it. Very nice of you, but no, after you, sir.
And what you're saying is not a knock on Aaron Braun. It's just that the level of competition of the runners behind him, just behind him, is at another class, correct? Another level.
Yeah, Aaron Braun's a 2:12 marathoner. He would like to replicate that right now. now, and he's running that pace to get him there. So it's a smart run for Aaron Braun because he knows that this is a decent day. He wants to take advantage of that. But I would just expect that some of the guys whose PRs are maybe 5 minutes faster than him, eventually will probably take some initiative and take the lead.
You know, I've just had it reaffirmed that first mile was 5:18. I would be really surprised. The speed we saw them moving up through the first 3 or 4 minutes if it was a 5:01. So we'll double check on that. 5:07 is that I'm now being told, and then a 5:09 for the women over the second mile.
Let's check in on the women. Carrie Tollefson's following that lead pack. Carrie, what's it looking like there?
Well, you know, all the big names are right here in this pack, this power pack. I'm looking at it and thinking to myself, what a great pack of runners we have. Turner Shababa is clearly in charge. She wants to run fast today. She has been very focused, and she has that record on her mind. You can see she wants to set a new personal record, and I think she's got Paula's record on her mind. Jordan Hissey right now in a tough spot. Yes, she has some men around her, but you can see that she's kind of battling, wondering, should I go with this pack or should I, you know, be kind of in that no woman's land for a little bit of a while maybe. I mean, these ladies will probably come back to her at some point, at least a couple of them, but this is a tough spot for her, trying to figure out early on, what do I do? Do I push early and run 5:10 pace, or do I back off and run the pace that she really knows she's ready to run? So, you know, interesting to see what happened. But the fun thing is right now is we're hearing Jordan's name. And, you know, the streets are lined and people want to see Jordan run fast today. So it's fun to hear her name being shouted.
It is cool. Well, you know, an American hasn't been in contention in either position, men's or women's, in decades, as Ed and Tim have pointed out.
You can hear the cheering in the background.
You can. Is this where the experience, though, comes in? She's only, you know, had one marathon under her belt. Is this where trying to figure it out, trying to find her way, is this where that experience sort of kicks in?
It's a difficult situation for Jordan because she actually is not going to run 2:17 today. There's a very good chance Tiranesh Tababa there in the blue, just behind the guy in yellow, could run 2:16, 2:17, and certainly under 2:20. So Jordan here has got to decide it, hasn't she? How long she hangs on to this and then actually lets go. But if she does, look, you can see very clearly right at the back of the pack to write a picture, she will be isolated from very, very early on in the race. And that's not a great scenario.
Yeah, it puts her in a very awkward position because I don't think she wants to run the 2:15 pace that Tiranesh is running right now. She just ran a 5:09, which is 2:15. Because, yeah, that would be world record pace, and I don't think she wants to try to go that deep right now. She would love to run sub 2:20, but to make that leap to 2:15 puts her in the danger zone. And so she, as Tim had mentioned, has to make that decision. And you can see her watching up ahead, but I think she's kind of going, I don't know that I want to close that gap right now.
What do you mean danger zone?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, a danger zone would be going out way over your head too fast, faster than you should run, faster than what you and your coach had prepared to run pace at. And so by running, they just ran 5:09 pace, which is a slightly under 2:15. That's deep water for her right now.
Yeah.
She would be better off maybe going 2:17, which would be an amazing time.
Yeah.
But not 2 minutes faster than that. So again, the mind games have started right now. She has to make a decision. The best decision for her might be to ease off a little bit, and I'm gonna gobble up those runners late in the race when they realize they've been too aggressive.
They drop off.
A lot of excitement, a lot of strategy. But we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And we're back with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, and we have the 5K leaderboard here. As you can see, Aaron Braun is still in the lead, guys. What are we looking at here?
Well, we've been told that the men came through 5K at 15:05. Now we're assuming that is correct. That's about 2:07 pace, which is a very solid pace. And on the women's, and so
help me understand. Yeah, we have a graphic that says one thing, and then this guy's right out here in front.
Yeah, so again, when we get these splits, then we just have to assume that they are correct. So the 15:05 would lead us to about 2:07 pace. Now, Aaron Braun's PR, personal record, is 2:12 pace. So that would mean that he's going considerably faster. So maybe he's in great shape. He's feeling the day. He's wanting to get out.
Or he's in the danger zone.
Or he's in the danger zone.
And you know what? Those splits reflects, if they've got to 5K, about 3 miles, at 2:07 tempo, after such a slow first mile, it suggests there was a pretty significant acceleration.
Yeah.
And that's an awful way it's certainly not the optimum way to cover the first section of the race. You want to be having a nice steady race. You want to get into a rhythm. That's what pacemakers provide for you. And this is one of the complications that not having pacemakers provides, and is what people have to cope with. So and already people are having to deal with conditions very different to a paced race.
We see Chris Derrick right there in the pack. Earlier this morning, Alex Maragos got a chance to talk with him, and so he's going to tell you a little bit more about this Naperville-born runner. Alex?
Yeah, 10 years ago, he was the top cross-country high school runner in the state of Illinois. And today, Neuqua Valley's Chris Derrick is making his marathon debut in his hometown. And you see Chris out there on the course right now. He's serving as a great role model for so many other young runners in the state of Illinois. And he was one of many elites who came out onto the course. We were here at 6 o'clock in the morning, asked him how he felt, gave us a thumbs up and a smile. So we'll see how he does as he progresses on the course. Guys?
We certainly will. Thanks so much, Alex. And we do wish Chris Derrick well. He's our local guy. We want to see him do well in this race, which is his marathon
Naperville
debut.
represent.
Yeah, gotta love it. And we will be right back. Stay with us for more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
And welcome back to the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Let's take a look at the men's elite runners here.
Yeah, the men just came past 5 miles, and I happen to have my coach's stopwatch going here. And watching them pass the 5 mile mark and looking at my clock, they came through in about 25:10. And I think earlier we'd been given some bad information in terms of their 5K split. There actually were 25:10 through about 5 miles, which puts them on about 2:12 pace, which as we look at the runners there, and with Aaron Braun, who is a 2:12 marathoner, and he's up front, so that kind of confirms the fact that they are going a little slower than we would anticipate some of these guys who are capable of running 2:06 or 2:07. But that is what happens in these championship-style races. We saw it in the Olympic Games. They weren't necessarily going on world record pace. They were sizing each other up. They were running according to competition and strategy, and that's what's going on right now.
It's about the win and not the clock.
Exactly.
It is, but you know what? They've actually been running relatively steady. If their first mile was a 5:18, then they had a 5:07. The fourth mile was a 5:11, for example. So, you know, it's a steady tempo, 2:12. It'll gradually pick up, I suspect, this next half hour or so, and start dialing down towards 2:10 and quicker. So, in a way, as I mentioned earlier, it's a nice way of warming into it for these guys.
Yeah, and the exciting thing about this is when they start out slow like this, they usually finish like lightning because they have a little extra glycogen in those muscles, and they can run a little bit faster at the end.
It'll be fun to see. So we've talked about the elites in these competitions competing to win, but for the vast majority of runners, this race is about something entirely different. Let's head back to the start line where Alicia Roman has one of the people with an amazing story like that. 99.
I mean, I almost fell over. 99 marathons. And
what a powerhouse she is.
Just one of so many inspirational stories that you'll find
absolutely
in the marathon.
And so many people use, you know, like she said, she's a runner, so this makes her feel normal. And people this is a way for something to hold on to for so many people as well. It's a goal, a major goal in a lot of folks' life.
And we take a look here at the elite runners, and Aaron Braun still out front.
Yeah, I'm really puzzled at Aaron's thinking here. This is only his third marathon. You know, he's not had a great couple of years, and you never see this scenario pan out with a good result for the guy in the lead through 5-6 miles. You very, very rarely indeed.
We've been warned.
So what he's thinking, I would love to know.
All right, we're going to head now back to the start line for the second wave of runners as they begin their marathon challenge. You hear that roar.
Yeah, they got to be feeling excited. This is the next level of folks. Do you guys have any sense of what this level of folk is like?
Well, you know what's great about waves is that if you just start 40,000 people in one go, there's one gun, one bang, there's a bit of music around the start line. But it's anticlimactic for the guys halfway back.
Yeah.
But if you have waves, everybody gets that massive pump of adrenaline, feeling like they are at the start of the race.
I think it also logistically just helps that the water stops and whatnot. It spreads that field out naturally.
The pressure,
yes,
of course.
and again, these people are going to be out. These would be the people that may suffer as the day goes on and the warmth increases and we get into the high 60s. And so it's so crucial for these people to start at a moderate pace for them to make sure that they hydrate along, and also to give those aid stations opportunities to refill those water cups.
We discussed what the elites were thinking at the start line. What do you think these folks are thinking about?
Well, I think in many cases it's kind of the same thing. They're reflecting upon their training. They're kind of to assess how they're feeling and make sure that they don't go out too fast. Most of these people, a lot of times you'll see splits that are written up and down their arms so that they would know, okay, at 1 mile I'm supposed to be this fast, 2 miles this fast, 3 miles. Or a lot of times now with the GPS watches, they're dialing in the GPS, making sure that their watch is working correctly so that they can monitor their progress and make sure they're not running too fast.
I have to feel for these folks. I just admire them so much because it does take so much dedication. You don't just show up on race day and get to it. It takes months of training and mental
hard work.
It does, but an awful lot of these athletes are just let's get round runners, you know, which is still a very admirable status, so to speak. You know, it's about time on your feet and training, and if you know you're going to have a 5-hour marathon, 6-hour marathon experience, you'd better have done some training that gets somewhere close to that.
You got that right. All right, we want to check back in with the lead pack. Todd Williams is following them. What you seeing, Todd?
I'm seeing Aaron Braun right now. I mean, he's really looking like he's doing his own time trial. I mean, I think he had a plan, like I said in the first update, of trying to run between 2:12 and 2:13, and everyone else is kind of just settling back. All your early, contenders, you have the world record Ola Kameto looks great. Defending champ Kirui looks really good. But again, everybody should look great when you're running 2:12:13. Rupp's tucked in the whole time. He hasn't even thought about touching the lead. And again, I just don't see anybody looking like the pace right now. But Braun looks smooth and looking at that 2:12, 2:13 pace.
Nobody looks particularly stressed right now.
And the stuff they're drinking, that's not necessarily water, right? Just for the folks at home?
No, every 5K, these elite athletes have their own bottles on tables that they can pick up, and there's their own concoction, their own mixture that they handed in yesterday afternoon. It's refrigerated overnight and then put out along the course. So if it's every 5K, they'd have 8 bottles of their own that they deliver and are laid out along the course. And the mixture may change as the race progresses and may become more dilute later in the race when your stomach's getting more sensitive and your whole system's under more stress.
Wow. If I could get that, I would maybe run a 5K.
Yeah, right.
I've said 5K.
Don't hold your breath.
It just tells you how strategic it really is,
Yes.
all the way down to everything they wear, what they take into their bodies, all of their training. It makes sense. And we can see that the elite women are there on the right. Tiranish Dibaba still in the lead. Everybody looks pretty comfortable at this point, though.
Jordan Hasay.
Yeah, everyone's comfortable, and it's nice to see Jordan. I think the pace on the women's side, whereas on the men's side, a bit pedestrian. On the women's side, it was pretty hot early on, but I think it's relaxed just enough for Jordan Hasay to make that decision that she is not in the danger zone, that she's doing okay. The women are continuing to cruise along. I got, I believe, a 10K split, 32:28 for the women through 10K, which would put them just a little under 2:17 pace. Wow. So they're running hard. But I think that maybe is the far extreme side of pace that Jordan was going to run. And Dibaba had said coming in here that she wanted to take a shot at that course record 2:17:18, and it appears that she is on that pace right now.
And you call her the baby face destroyer, Tim. That she's this calm, cool, collected. It looks like she's just gonna, do a little something and then takes it out.
She's a mum. She's over 30 years old. She's hardly a baby.
We're talking Tiranish Dibaba right now.
Tiranish Dibaba there in blue, yes. And she smiles. She's pleasant to spend a bit of time with. She speaks better English than she will admit. So she's always got one advantage over you because you're supposed to assume she only speaks Amharic. But her record is astonishing. Has been. She won a world title in 2003 when she was 18 years old on the track. And she hasn't stopped since.
When we'll keep watching her as we continue to watch the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon as we take a look at the massive grouping of elite men's runners here at Aaron Braun still leading the pack.
Up there. I know.
To our surprise.
God bless him. We'll be watching
Yes.
him as we go. Now, you know there's a lot of runners. It takes a lot of folks to put this sort of event on. Not thousands of volunteers, 12,000 to be exact, to help pull off this marathon. Kai Martin's in Lakeview with one of the men who has helped run the aid stations all along the... I'll tell you what, Lakeview is always a great stop. Lots of entertainment, even before the runners get there. Good stuff, thanks to Kai.
Because I used to live there.
I want to see you in one of those lame outfits, my friend.
No, you don't. Nobody does.
Let's just update people with the state of this men's race. They went through 10K in 31:24. Now, I know that was a few minutes ago, and we'll, of course, bring you the 15K split. But that is 2:12:15 tempo. Very slow. Slower than last year's winning time, and last year's was the slowest time for many, many years. The women's race, absolutely the opposite. They've gone out at about 2:17 tempo at the moment. A pack of 5 there. The women's wheelchair race, they're on world record tempo. 1:37:53 is their projected time at the moment, with, 50 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, last year's winning time, Abel Kirui ran a 2:11:23, so over a minute slower than last year's pace at this time.
I'm getting a little more and more surprised, Ed. I don't know about you, that nobody else has pushed on from this pack, because that is tightly bunched. There's 24, 25 guys there. Galen Rupp right in the middle of the pack there. I'm concerned that somebody might go down. It only takes a split second of lack of concentration.
Yeah, with 26 guys in that pack, and I think Galen is just kind of waiting, assuming that someone eventually is going to take it, and that I do believe that will happen. But again, they're content just to roll behind Braun at this point, and what we need is someone to become a leader and go for it. And Stanley Biwott, who has a PR of 2:03:51, has been one of those guys that has been almost like chomping at the bit, ready to go. But again, they're just kind of waiting. It's a waiting game right now.
I'll bet you Galen Rupp, right in the middle of the pack there in that white vest, back in about, 15th place.
Yeah.
I'll bet you he's one of the guys chomping at the bit, because they've got about another 10 or 15 minutes to save this and get a quick time out of this race. If they hold it through to 1 hour at this tempo, 2:12 pace, they're going to end up with a winning time of maybe 2:09, 2:10 if they really motor through the second half. But that'll be a shame, because conditions are absolutely beautiful out there.
It'll be interesting to see.
Does it
Go ahead.
Does it matter, or is it surprising that Faisa Lalesa, who looks like coming into the race, looks like one of the faster guys in this race, is at the back end of this pack?
Well, I think as long as you're locked into that pack, you're in good position. Now, once you start leaking off of that and some separation takes place, then yeah, that is a warning signal. But the fact that he's back there really means he's just kind of staying out of trouble. Sometimes you stay out of trouble, you get in the back of the pack so you don't get tripped.
Yeah.
When you're totally surrounded by people, you get a little claustrophobic, and you can trip a little easier, particularly going into some of the aid stations.
Would you move out of the middle of the pack?
Again, it just depends. As you come up on one of the water stations, yeah, you want to get over to the right side, or maybe get at that time. Sometimes you want to go quickly to the lead so that you won't have people running over the top of you as you reach for your water bottle.
So we want to check in now with the women's wheelchair. Here is Tatiana McFadden, apparently in second at this point. Let's see where, I'm sure, who is this ahead of her? Rosario. And Shar.
And again, we know that Shar would love nothing more than to move up from that second place position that she's been in the last 4 years to finally claim the championship. But the fact that Tatiana McFadden is in that group, she's such a powerful sprinter at the end. We know she's capable of doing some great things. And right now they are on world record pace, 1:37:53 pace the last time we were told.
Is this typically the way she races, though? Does she hang back like this a little bit?
She can push it as she needs to, but at world record tempo, I guess you probably have to be tucked in behind something. Slipstreaming, and of course these wheelchair athletes got a much bigger slipstreaming advantage than do the able-bodied runners. But I bet she's just loving being back in the mix and enjoying being a racer again. After in Boston in April, really being a bit of an also-ran, she was just dipping her toe back into the competitive arena. Today we're seeing her really in shape.
But wasn't that her personal best, her personal record? Was it Boston just this past?
It's a downhill course. They had a strong following wind, so it was a good day for the wheelers.
I gotcha.
And again, as we'll talk about the pace, and that's a world record pace. Last year, McFadden won with a 1:42:28. I mean, they're almost 5 minutes faster than that. That's unbelievable, is it not? That they're 5 minutes faster than when she finished last year?
Oh, yeah, and it'll be tough. I mean, this will be stretching Tatiana. I mean, talk about a baptism of fire coming back into it, even though she's in shape. This is a tough way to re-enter re-enter the arena.
She said she was hungry. All right, we're going to be back in just a few minutes with more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Of course, before and dealing with the conditions and the circumstances. We talked a little bit about Jordan Hsay, and this is only her second marathon, and she's sort of pushing, as Ed has mentioned, a little bit tougher, hanging with the pack that's a little bit stronger for her. What do you think about what she's up to?
I love to see courageous running, and she had an amazing debut in Boston, breaking away at the water bottles right now at their fluid station, elite athlete fluid stations, and just taking that bottle with the authority and really I think showing herself that this is where she belongs. This is her event.
We were talking earlier about being in the danger zone and perhaps pushing herself beyond where she's been. She's in the lead right now. What is going through her mind?
Yeah, I think this sport in itself is so amazing that what's going through her mind is probably going through the mind of someone that's pushing their limits 5, 10, 20 minutes behind Jordan. So I think that we can all relate as marathon runners. The 40+ thousand people that are out there are all pushing their limits, and that's what makes that finish line so special.
And Tiranish, tell us about your thoughts about her. She's got quite a storied career. Tim has said that many consider her one of the best distance runners ever.
Absolutely, and what an amazing field, really. I mean, on the men's side, on the women's side, that you have Olympic medalists, world record holders, past champions, all on the starting line together, and this is their livelihood on the line here today. So you see a lot of brave, courageous runnings, but to say you want to break the course record in the pre-race press conference lets you know that she had a great build-up to this race.
What is it about Chicago that people like so much?
What's not to like about Chicago?
That's true, Dina. Thank you. I handed you that, but it's so true.
Yeah, I mean, you see that the world's best come here. It's a desirable race because it is a flat and fast course. We're handed great conditions here this morning. There is talk of it heating up later in the day, but right now the conditions are absolutely ideal for the runners out there. And really, people come here to race hard, and I think that's what makes this race beautiful. A lot of other championship-style races, you see them just going for the win, and here people want to run fast and win.
Can I ask you too? I'm sorry, go ahead, Siaf.
I mean, just looking at the competition, Dababa has overtaken Hsay now. You have to love this from a competitive point of view and standpoint.
I want to ask you too about Tatiana McFadden. I mean, she trained at Champaign. We kind of claim her as an Illinois girl because of that, and she's been so dominant. As an athlete, what's it like when you have sort of a year where you can't help but the setback? It's a health setback. You can't help it. What's it like to kind of get past that, come beyond that?
It is very clear that Tatiana took her loss in Boston as a motivator to be ready for this race. She looks so fit this week. Just seeing her out on training rides out on the waterfront, and sometimes those defeats can be motivators, and life happens, and health issues arise, and she is by far and for a very long time been such a dominant force. But Champaign, Illinois creates the best push rim athletes, the best wheelchair athletes in the world. They all come from this area, which is pretty amazing to see such dominance in one sport.
They do. They have a great program down there. More than one of the folks that are here today has trained down there. I think doesn't Amanda McGrory also train in Illinois? So it's a great program down there.
Absolutely. And to see, I mean, the races haven't even begun yet, and we see all the big names on the men's side, on the women's side, and you see them packed up, which just shows that there's a lot of people out there that want the win today.
Dina, you're a U.S. record holder with your 2:19 run. Can you imagine having done what Jordan is doing here, which is to be moving at a tempo some 5 or 6 minutes quicker than you'd ever run before through the first half?
Right, and I think a lot of athletes get their confidence from their training. In the marathon, you don't go out and race every weekend, so you need to gain that confidence in your training. And both her and Galen have both said that their build-ups were great in coming into this race. So you've got to take their word for that, and they're racing with that kind of confidence in mind.
Contrast that with Galen Rupp, who we know has also trained very well, would love to run a 2:07, 2:06 pace. Yet, do you think there's a level of frustration right now, given the fact that they're on 2:12 pace? Do you expect to see him break out of that, or do you think he's just going to bide his time and try to get a major victory?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever we come into a race, we have to have a few different plans, and I think a win here would be really special for him. And so he looks so comfortable in that pack. He looks like he's jogging. He probably doesn't even run this slow in practice, does he?
I don't think he does.
He doesn't. I heard he ran a 20-mile training run, Alberto told me, at 5:02 tempo, which is not not far outside 2:10 pace.
Right.
So this is a stroll in the park for him.
Right,
at the moment.
and he knows that he's not the most experienced guy in this pack, but as far as his credentials are concerned, he's run among the best and with the best and beaten the best, and so to be comfortable in this pack, he knows the race hasn't begun and it won't for some time now.
So Dana, let's talk a little bit about American runners. What has been the issue? Why haven't they been able to keep up in the past decade or so?
Yeah, I think that there's a large dominance in the East Africans in the marathon distance itself, and really we've seen Americans get on the podium and start to perform better on the track, and in the distances between 800 meters all the way up to the 10,000 meters, getting Olympic medals and World Championship medals, and we're seeing right here this is the next generation of Americans up there in the front challenging course records. I think it's just awesome that we can have hope now for the Americans in the marathon distance.
What is the key to continuing that and growing that and feeding off of what would be their success?
I think moments like this is responsible for it. For people sitting at home watching right now, kids watching, the next generation of runners watching to see the American contingency up there. On the men's side, you have a lot of Americans in the men's lead pack. From the Bowerman Track Club, you have Chris Derrick and Andrew Bumbelow looking really strong and confident. They were actually training in Mammoth Lakes, California, where I live and train. So my heart is with them and hoping they can continue to click off these miles with the comfort that it looks like right now.
You see Luke Pesquedra in there as well, another American.
Diego Estrada as well.
Diego Estrada.
Dina, I've got to ask you, the way that Jordan Hussey is running, I know she's not on the screen at the moment, but your US record could go today. How's that going to make you feel?
Oh, it would be wonderful to see that progress. That record, I don't feel like I own the record. That Jones record was there as a beacon for me to push my own limits, and to be able to earn it in that moment was everything that I needed to push my own boundaries. And I'm happy to pass that torch on to somebody else.
You have your Olympic medal, and they say medals are forever, records are borrowed.
Yeah, and really those, all of our goals out there are just benchmarks for us to chase a better side to ourselves. And as soon as that's accomplished, you go to the next one. So it was appropriate in the moment to chase that record, and now I'm very willing to pass that torch on to someone else. As someone as talented and as hardworking and as charming as Jordan is, I'd be happy to pass that torch to her.
I can't believe how nice you are about that.
Yeah, but yeah, I was just going to say, today, can we have it for another couple more months?
No, today's a good day.
Today's a good day?
All right. Good as any.
And what about you? Are you going to come back again anytime soon to Chicago? I'd love to see you back in the. You're a great ambassador forever.
We come back in any capacity we can, whether it's crazy fan on the sidelines, which I've been in the past, or competing. I would love to come back. I'm actually coming off of a book writing project on the mental gains that you get in training, and how to really use the power of positivity to fuel performance. So my book is actually coming out in April. Let Your Mind Run. And
all right.
Because we can all get out there and do the physical work, but we also need to work that mental side. In order to get 100% out of our physical body, we have to be 100% mentally in that game. So that's the story that I wrote, and hoping that anybody from the people at the lead pack to the people running their first marathon, to even a business person, being able to use those same attributes.
And you are now a Masters champion. As you get older in life, and as we all do, it's bound to happen to everybody. Transition. Talk a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, I think it's all about a balance, and I actually love the running community because as I was such a narrow-minded athlete for so long, I started to acquire multiple hats, a mom being one of them, and so I looked at the running community like, how do these people do it? They're CEOs, they're runners, and they have families, and setting those priorities is always so important. And so health and family came first, running and my profession second, but you learn very quickly that those lines often blur. So getting out there and running every day, doing the best you can to get the best out of yourself, being in the moment you're in, and these runners are in their moment right now, and so exciting to see this race unfold in a dramatic way, really.
It really is. Dina Castor, thank you so much for coming in. It's so good to see you, and thank you for being an ambassador for this 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Thank you.
We will be right back. And your book comes out.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Aaron Braun back in the lead for the elite men. Are we surprised?
He's our default leader. Anytime,
but he had dropped back.
Well, anytime the pace falls below 2:12:30, he is the guy who's setting that pace, because that's the pace he probably wants to run, right around his PR. And so anytime they back off from that, he's going to bounce in the lead. Anytime they go faster than that, he gets gobbled up, I think, is what we're seeing.
But there's a pack of 26 Siafa out there. That tells you just how slow they have been running through this first half. You know, they've been out there for what, 61, nearly 62 minutes. They're going to go through halfway. Not much quicker than around 66 minutes. I mean, for a lot of this pack, that was almost a warm-up.
It's so fascinating. You know there's
really
strategy involved here. You know that somebody along the way is going to make somebody pay for this.
Yes, they are.
No, it ain't going to be a quick race. No. But I tell you what, with every mile that clicks by, somebody like Galen Rupp has got to be growing in confidence. So they're entering his territory. He's a track guy almost with the pace this slow.
All right, let's check into the halfway point. Katie Kim is manning that location. Kim, thanks so much. Father Hurley, 13 marathons. God bless him.
He has.
He has blessed him. That is quite a feat, and feeling like he has to do another one.
These elite men have just gone through 20K in 62:43. That's about 2:12:15 tempo. So this last half hour or so, there's been no change. It's been very, very steady. I mean, that makes it easier. That makes it easier to cope with the pace. But I'm really surprised that nobody yet has unleashed their frustration.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Well, it's kind of the calm before the storm, and I think right now there's so many good, talented men in this field. They're kind of looking at one another and just waiting, not wanting to be the sacrificial lamb to go out and be the rabbit to force the pace, and they're content to let Aaron Braun, who would love to run 2:12:30 up front. But on the women's side, we see them taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of the great conditions, and with Tiranish Dababa up front, she actually is that leader, that default leader from that group, and she's saying, I'm the best runner in here, catch me if you can.
It's the exact opposite situation with Tiranish Dababa. I thought she might have a lot of good male runners around her. She hasn't. She's doing all the work.
Here goes the third wave.
Going back to the start line for the third wave of runners. And once again, that feeling of excitement and adrenaline and nervousness, I'm sure, and just waiting to embark on an amazing journey.
I really can't imagine, because
Marion, you can
I have never run a marathon.
You can do it, Marion.
But I see people of all walks of life, every single age, and it really is inspiring. It's hard for me to get my mind wrapped around it with bad knees, but
this is why running's booming. This is why running's booming. It's accessible to everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here, as you see, you're looking at your screen there. It's a quick glance at the pace it takes to run a marathon in 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and 6 hours. Just so you get an idea of the minute per mile pace to accomplish it in those hours.
The different runners and how they make it happen. And I'm amazed by folks who take up to 6 hours, and they're at the end of and they're still going strong.
That is really truly a mental challenge.
Totally.
To be determined to finish that race no matter what.
Then it becomes
no matter how much pain you have or anything else. Yeah.
Well, and there's 40,000 stories of commitment out there.
That's
people
true.
who, not just today, but over the last probably 6 months, have been preparing for this, gearing up for this, excited to be here at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And again, on top of that, think of all those positive enablers in family and friends who have allowed them, who've taken on extra burdens sometimes and sacrificed so that they could pursue their dreams. So it's great all the way around.
All right, we want to check in with the women's elite lead pack. We've got Carrie Tollefson. We see Tiranish Dababa right up front there, Carrie.
Yeah, and she's in so much control right now. I mean, you can see that she's waving to her Ethiopian cheerleaders on the course, if you want to call them fans, whatever they may be. She's waving to them. She's grabbing her water fine. But the one person that I think that looks in the most control right now is Jordan Hesse. I mean, when you see her go through those water stations, she shows her athleticism. She's clearly the most fluid going through there. She's such a great athlete, but we haven't even gotten to halfway, and that's where the racing really began. So it's going to be interesting to see if this pack of five can stay together. The one person I think that is struggling the most is Florence Kiplagat. She's got her eyes up, she's looking around, but she is not the one in command, which we have seen the last 2 years. So can our defending champion pull it together the second half? We'll have to see. But right now, I think the story is watching Tiranish Dababa's pace. It's slowing a little bit, but also the woman in third, Jordan Hesse, Can she keep this going?
That is so amazing to see. That's that, like Dina Castor talked about, everybody pushing to do their very best.
So exciting.
So,
very tough way this for Dibaba to take this race on. You know, she's been running now for what? She's around halfway, or soon will be at halfway. But that's a very, very long second half she's got ahead of her. And to be on her own, she hasn't got any male runners around her. I expected there to be a pack of 3 or 4 guys helping her out. It's going to be, if she's going to get that course record, she's going to have to accelerate, and it's going to be very, very difficult.
And I think she's upped the tempo slightly, because we can see instead of running next to one another, she has drawn the pack out, and at this point in time, they're just trying to cover this move.
All right, well, let's check in.
Back, yeah.
Let's check in now with the men's wheelchair. Marcel Hoog in front.
Yeah, Marcel has just pulled away at around 35k. There was a huge pack, unprecedentedly large pack in this men's race at 20k. Well, he's waited another few minutes before kicking away, and there's a pack now, I understand, behind him of around 20 that are still hanging together. But he's trying to impose himself on the race here really impressively too. It's a brave move to push hard and actually to get that gap. That's critical. Get that gap, break the psychological band, the elastic band between yourself and the guys behind you.
And it's so difficult when the others are drafting and able to help one another behind to kind of close that gap. And so once you take a move like this, you've got to push it all the way to the finish.
Yeah, because we so often see such tight finishes with these wheelchair races. Can they come up from behind? I mean, I know he's the silver bullet and all, but I mean, could this still end up in a sprint if he gets too much of a lead?
It could, but you know what? Maybe what we're seeing here is Marcel Hoog really coming into his own, because last year he won race after race after race on the Abbott World Marathon Majors circuit, but by small margins mostly. This could be a dominant performance. If he pushes on hard and he can build on that gap of 9 seconds, he could destroy them here.
All right, we shall see. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We're going to head straight out to Carrie Tolson with the lead elite women's pack, and Tirna Dibaba has made her move, Carrie.
She made a decisive move. She had one turn before she saw the half marathon mark, and it was like she was on the track. She slung shot right around the corner there and put on about a 9-second lead in the last, from Jordan Hesse, excuse me, in the last 3 minutes. So really, when she made that power move there, she broke this pack up from 5 to now down to 2. And she looks really smooth. She looks really good. She almost looks like she's in better form right now, back into her rhythm that she wants to be in.
Now, Koskai seems to have covered that move. She's running right behind her. How does Bridget look relative to Dibaba?
You know, we haven't talked a lot about Koskai. She'd had that move. Dibaba had the move. Koskai followed right with her and hasn't looked back yet. So she looks like she's in good form. Her eyes are down on the road. She's right there tucked in where she should be, honestly. I mean, this is Dibaba's race to lose. She has all the credentials to be in front and way in front if she wants to be. But I think Koskai is doing the right thing. Just sort of hunting her from behind, going right through mile 14 right here. And they look great. Both of them look well within themselves. But now, as we said right before the break, the racing is yet to begin, and it's begun.
Jordan Hesse has just dropped back, or is she just, do we not see her?
Carrie, can you tell if Jordan Hesse was really suffering and looking bad? Was she looking bad, though, or has she just made a calculated judgment and eased off?
She didn't look bad when we last saw her up close, but she is probably thinking, I have to salvage a little bit of this race. She went out very aggressively. I just spoke to her dad right before the gun, and he said he thought she could run 2:21. If she runs 2:21 today, she could make her way back up to the podium. So I think that it's very loud right here. I think that she has to kind of control herself now in the next few miles here, because she's got a lot of racing left to do. But she said coming into this race, her training was better than ever. She said, don't look at those results so much from the Philadelphia Rock and Roll Half Marathon. She was going into that race very tired. She had won the US 20K. She had done a big long run and then ran that half marathon. So she said she knows she's in very good shape, and we clearly can see it. Whether she can pull it together here now the second half, we'll have to see.
All eyes will be on Jordan Hasay. I mean, there's that sentimental favorite. You want to see an American win. And really talk a little bit, guys, about the Dina touched on it a little bit about where Americans are in distance running, marathon level, particularly really being behind the pack for many, many years.
Well, I think, but we have seen a real resurgence with some of these training groups that have come together, particularly Alberto Salazar has done a very good job getting Galen Rupp in a position where he has getting an Olympic medal, Jordan Hasay with an American debut record, and so I think she is on a trajectory to be one of the next great ones. Now, the fact that they are running 2 hours and 17-minute pace, again, I think was just a little aggressive for where she's at right now. We kind of take baby steps for a while, and the fact that she ran 2:23, if she could hold on and still run 2:20, that would be amazing to go sub 2:20. It's been a long time since we've had an American woman under that time, Dina. So I think she's still got a good race going. She just has to gather herself. She has to run her time. She has to maybe find another person to run with, maybe another man who's running about her same pace and lock in on that. And then in the meantime, she can hope that maybe one of these two runners that is making this big move right now fatigue late in the race.
And even if she runs a 2:20, that's a 3-minute improvement from just April, 6 months.
And I think the men's wheelchair is getting close to finishing as well. Marcel Hugh still firmly in the lead. Has tried to break the other runners and had a 9-second lead last time we were told.
Yeah, and he's in the 25th mile, and Marcel is all alone now and pulling away. I think it's been a really impressive move from him. You know, to pull away from a field that late in the race means a big acceleration, so he must have really upped his work tempo.
Now, talk a little bit about his 2017, because he did have a loss then in Tokyo, right? And so has he had any sort of, is this sort of a motivation now to push him forward? He'd been so dominant in 2016. I mean, he was amazing.
Well, for a start, their physiology of the wheelchair athletes is totally different to the able-bodied athletes. You know, they can do marathons on consecutive weekends. That's more or less impossible.
Can't imagine.
For able-bodied athletes. But nonetheless, you know, they have to have a down period of some sort. It's not like the tennis players. They can't be on their game right through the year for 12 months. So if he loses the odd race, so what? You know, he's produced a dominance in 2016 that was unprecedented, and he may be entering a similar phase now.
Well, I think this is interesting also because we're used to having him have a powerful sprint finish at the end and just barely winning by just a will width. But here we see him employing a different strategy, and I think this is good for him. It's nice not to be considered a one-trick pony. It's nice to work on different strengths, and he's pushing very hard right now, and I think he has, as we see, a minute lead.
Man.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about what the wheelchair being added to the World Marathon Majors has done for them? I mean, Hugh brought it up a little bit at the press conference, sort of the parity that brings. What do you think that? How do you think that factors?
Well, it's wonderful that it gives them so much more profile. You know, I mean, you know, we all know that the Paralympics has got massive more profile now. The London Paralympic Games are as well attended as the able-bodied games later on. And the same for the World Championships this summer in London. The stadium was packed, 50,000 crowds, 30,000 crowds. It's good to see. It's inspirational for a whole generation of kids who are coming through, able-bodied or otherwise, actually.
Absolutely, because these are athletes, no matter how you slice it. But I think, and I talked a little bit about adding, when you've got the kind of recognition that the sort of, not just those world championships and Olympics, but even the money game. Here we go. We're going to be here at the finish. Wow, he is all by himself.
Well, and he's built up in about 15 minutes, a lead from 9 seconds to about a minute. I mean, that is astonishing. His power over this last 15 minutes must have been extraordinary, and I think it elevates him to a level that nobody else has been for several years. So he's the 40th anniversary Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion, and that is no sprint finish. That has destroyed him.
It certainly has.
Devastating, powerful event. Again, showing that he can do it either way with a sprint finish or a powerful surge towards the end.
Very impressive.
A lot's been happening in this men's race over the last 10 minutes or so. It has broken up a great deal. There was a pack of 26 for many, many miles.
Braun is way back now, you see. And we're seeing Rupp right there in the front middle, though.
Galen Rupp, right where we wanted him to be positioned. He, again, has not taken his turn up front, but he doesn't need to take that turn until the 26th mile as far as he's concerned. And all of the other favorites still right in there as we look at Marcel Hug, our champion of the Bank of America.
Bagels on the side of that wheel. He's got a little sense of humor, the silver bullet.
And here come the rest of the wheelchair.
That looks like Kurt Fernley, I think, coming through for second place, pushing really hard, but it's single file, and this is what we're more used to in Chicago. We haven't had a performance as dominant as that from Marcel Hoog for some while.
Mad dash down the final stretch there, right? Usually.
And it looks all the more impressive to their speed because it is a slight downhill as well from that final turn. What, about 250 yards from the final turn? Well, the irony here is that we're well into the second half, and Emmanuel Bett was a very, very late addition to the field, but he is only a 2:16 performer, and that, Ed, I guess, even though he is a great track performer, underlines how big the pack was through halfway and how it's enabled a lot of men who wouldn't ordinarily expect to be anywhere near the front to be there.
Right, Manuel Bett was a late addition to this race. We didn't even know he was going to be here until earlier this week, and Bett is a guy who he showed that he has abilities. He's run 60:08 for half marathon, which usually belies the fact that you can run a very powerful marathon. But in his only other performance at this distance, he ran 2:16, but he did that going out very fast, running 62 minutes and change for the half marathon, and then he kind of collapsed. So the fact that he ran a more controlled half here might bode well for him.
Really interesting to see Tadessa there in second place with the white arm sleeves. He's the world record holder for the half marathon. He's run the fastest 2 half marathons in history, but actually he's never really nailed it at the marathon, although he was in that Breaking 2 effort back in May in Italy that Nike put together, and he ran 2:06 there. It was under false conditions, so to speak. It'd be really interesting today to see if Tadessa there from Eritrea with the dark glasses can get a long way under 2:10 today. He's never done it yet.
And don't you think, though, his confidence level, the fact that he ran 2:06:51, even though it was in that aided break 2 race, I think that would still in your head go, hey, I'm capable
I can
of
do
doing
this.
Yeah.
I can do this. All
Keep
right.
that thought. We're going to be right back after this.
I'm glad you brought that up. I do want to talk about that some more. The Breaking 2 and that whole thing.
The training that you've done in advance is really what the day is about, is make sure that you've mentally have prepared yourself, have made a collaborative decision with your family, with your loved ones.
Marcel Hoog defends his championship. Alex Maragos is at the finish line with him. He had a time of 1:29.22, 3 minutes faster than last year, Alex.
Yeah, he did really well. Here we are, 31 Marcel Hoog, back-to-back wins. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about the finish. Last year it was photo. Oh, so close, a sliver. This year you broke away. What was that like?
It was a really tough race. I tried to attack many times, and always the Japanese Suzuki, he filled the gap, came close behind him, the Kurt Fernley, and I tried so many times, and I really wanted. And then finally, I got it. And
it was a big pack in the middle. It stayed big for a long time. Was that hard to maneuver with so many people around you?
Yeah, it's quite difficult to see where you are, and it's very tight. Everyone is looking for a good position, so it's very difficult and very dangerous.
2 years ago, you were second. Last year, you came in first. You have first again. You're getting used to Chicago.
Yeah, I love it to be here. It seems Chicago Marathon is one of my favorite marathons.
And in 2016, you had so many marathon wins. You left here in Chicago, you went to New York, and you won in New York last year. And then you have another great year. You win in Boston with a personal record this year. Another great race today. 2016 and into 17 is looking very good for you. You must be feeling good.
Yeah, I feel very good. Getting great shape. I had a good preparation at home, good training, good health. So yeah, everything is perfect.
Marcel Hoog, our men's wheelchair winner. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
And what a performance it was. Really did pull away. Now we're looking at the women's wheelchair. And This looks like Manuela Schar. She is in the lead, and we're going to see a photo finish here.
Yeah, and they've slowed a little bit through 40K and at 1:39.20 pace. They've lost a little bit of time over the last 5 or 10 minutes, but this group of 4 has Schar at the front. Tatiana is there as well, McFadden, of course, Manuela, Madison Rosario, and Amanda McGrory.
Yeah, the fact that we have 4 women pushing together this late in the race means that we're going to have some fireworks here at the end, and we're used to having sprint finishes, but to have sprint finishes with a pack of 4 athletes, I think is unprecedented.
That is fabulous. I mean, it's almost like they're locked together. It's like chariot racing. It's so physical, isn't it? And you get a great idea of the speed they're moving at here.
So much strategy and positioning, particularly as they make these final turns, because there are a number of significant turns. You have to set yourself up well for that sprint finish.
And Tatiana's challenging here. She's really pushing hard, determined to psychologically dominate Manuela here.
Again, remember, she's had that health issue with some blood clots in her leg. And the fact that she is up there pushing the pace, she is so hungry for this.
And Manuela Schar finished second to Tatiana McFadden so many times. I bet she is not trying to feel that second coming her way again. She's done so well without Tatiana on the, when she was injured.
And they're going all out here. They got 400 meters to the finish at this point in time. They're positioning themselves for that final left turn.
Really good to see Chris Derrick too at that left-hand shot of Chris Derrick at the front of the men's race. An Naperville guy, local guy.
Would love to see him do well.
That's Tatiana pushing in the white.
That's got to be tough.
That's got to.
And this takes strength, and of course Tatiana in the gym is known as the Beast. That's her nickname. She's so powerful when she gets the weights in her hands, and that counts for a lot on corners like this.
Oh, I bet it does.
We're expecting the women any minute now.
That's one of the men coming through.
Here's the final turn.
And they get a little downhill, kind of just slight, not much, right? Coming around this curve. But there it's...
But this is cut loose. This just comes to sheer power and arm speed.
This is where Tatiana's back, right?
Down the stretch they come.
Bit of a bump in the road there, but looks like she's going to take this one, and she is back. Isn't it great to see?
She is back.
With a passion.
Like goosebumps. Illinois girl come across Chicago's line first.
Gives you goosebumps.
Normal service is resumed for Tatiana McFadden. Her 8th champion in 2017.
Eighth victory here for her, and just
7 in a row, right?
It's got to feel good after having such a tough time and dealing with an injury. For an athlete at her level with her dominance to have not been able to be at the top of her game because of something she couldn't
out
help.
of your control.
Exactly. It's got to be great to get past that hump.
And we go back to the men's.
Chris Derrick.
Men, and Naperville's Chris Derrick is in the lead of the Chicago Marathon.
Where are you, my friend? Where are you?
I was thinking about Tatiana the last time she raced was in Boston. She lost, which is unheard of.
She's got to be feeling great right now. Congrats to Tatiana.
That was tough too, because I think Manuela Schar threw the kitchen sink at her. Everything. She tried so hard to break her. But the determination, when you saw her pushing, getting up alongside, she battled for every inch to get up alongside, then get past her before that final turn.
She's just so strong and powerful, those shoulders, and I think that last little bridge, that little uphill that she had to do before making that final left, got her, was able to give her some separation with the strength that she has, and then she was able to power down that final downhill for the victory.
Her dominance, can we talk a little bit about that? Is it just all the training, or is it just her sheer athleticism? I mean, I'm amazed. She's got a great biography too. She spent the first 6 years of her life in an orphanage. Her mom, just touring the orphanage, an American woman in the Department of Health, just found her, was drawn to her, adopted her, brought her back to the United States, got her through some health humps as a child, and then she used sport to help really take her over, really help her with her health.
That orphanage in Russia, by the way, I don't think it was going to give her great prospects for the life ahead of her, and how it's been turned on its head.
On its head. Absolutely.
And
what a great champion.
I spent so much time talking about team sports. When we talk about the heart of a champion, when we talk about the Cubs or the Patriots, she just exhibited that.
She did, and
individual
has
sense
for many, many years.
Yeah.
Look at Chris Derrick. I have to say, that's pretty cool. Right next to her, just maybe a little bit ahead of Abel Kirui. Nice to see him. Also, so you guys were mentioning the Breaking 2 project in Monza, Italy, put on by Nike, very controlled conditions. Zersinet today said took part in that. I watched it. I watched a documentary about it. One of the things they talked about him was that he's a world record holder for the. We're gonna get back to this one in just a second. Let's first head out to Todd. We'll talk a little bit about breaking 2 in just a second. We want to find out what Todd's observing as he's following the lead men. Todd.
Yeah, they went through the half in 1:06.06, and then they followed that up with another 5:05 mile, and it looked like they were going to continue to jog, and then next thing you know, they started dropping 450, 452, 453, and Chris Derrick hit the lead at mile 17, and that was a 451. So I think with Chris looks really, really relaxed right now. Galen Rupp has never touched the lead. He looks really smooth. Sammy Shalenga is off the back, and we have about a pack of 11. But the pace definitely dropped right after mile 14 from the 5:05 range down into the 450 to 452. That was the first break, but I know that we're going to see a much bigger break here in the next couple miles.
Todd, who seems to be the leader of that pack right now? I mean, we see Abel Kirui, who took the lead to get his fluids, but is he the guy when the pace drops that has decided to pick things up now that we're at 30K?
Yeah, I mean, it's, every water break there seems to be like a little, it strings out, and Kirui's the guy that hits the front. He's watched, when Chris hit the front or Derrick hit the front, Kirui will shadow him. He's not really pushing it right now. He's kind of looking over his shoulder, feeling people to see what they're going to do. I think and Rupp wants to turn this into a track race. With his speed, I don't think you're going to see him really go for it until he knows he's going to take it to the line. But Derrick looks really good. I mean, the pack right now is down to about 10. I'm not going to pick a winner out of here because the pace has been so slow, but it is going to be an extremely fast one over the last 4 miles.
Should be an amazing finish.
I mean, that is one thing, Todd, that surprises me is when you leave it down to the last 10K or whatever, it becomes more of a lottery, doesn't it? If it doesn't become a marathon race as we know it traditionally, a real test of your strength over 26 miles.
Well, and you would think, all these guys, I know back when I ran and when you ran and Ed, it's like you did your homework. You knew who was who in the race. And if they're looking around right now like, okay, let's slow it down again, and you've got a 26:30, 26:40 guy in there, that's the guy you're going to have to push the pace. So I don't understand why some of the strength runners are slowing it down. They should be making a press for the line here pretty soon.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We'll check in with you again a little bit later, but now we're going to head over to Carrie Tollefson, who is with Tirnish Dababa and Bridget Koske as they have just taken over the women's race.
Hi, guys. Yeah, they're really pushing the pace here, trying to open that lead up, but I can see Tirnish Dababa is not enjoying Koske right on her heels. She is zigzagging. She is trying to lose her. And, for the first time, you can kind of see Dababa really checking. She's not really looking so much behind her. Every now and then she'll take a glance, but she's really glancing over on her shoulder, and she's watching what Koske is doing. I think she's trying to feel her out, see if she is feeling as good as she is or if she's hanging on for dear life.
She's right
looks
on her
smooth,
heels,
though. She's taken quite a bit of time off. She's right on her heels, and she has PR'd in almost every race she's ever run in. So, 8th at Boston last year. Koske is a very good athlete. 2:24, though, is her PR. She's clearly running well below that. They're still on 2:18 pace. So both are having a great race, but really it's going to come down to, I think, if Dababa feels as good as she looks, so when she wants to make that final push and really try to separate herself.
Carrie, sometimes when you have a runner like that just right off your shoulder, it's kind of irritating. Do you get the sense that Dababa is just trying to shake her? I saw her a couple of times kind of weaving on the road as if saying, I don't like you there. Do you think Koske is just happy to be right there, and is Dababa trying to break her?
I think she'd rather, right now they're running next to each other. I think she'd prefer that. Even though the wind is not blowing very hard today, it's a perfect day to race. Nobody likes to think that someone is getting a little bit of a draft when they're sitting right behind you. And if this is a long race, as you know, Ed, it's nice to have someone else help a little bit. And if Dababa doesn't feel like she's ready to really run like she did in London, maybe she wants a little bit of help to just have a little bit of a break from thinking so much. And that's what you do when you're in the lead. You're thinking constantly. So, they look like both of them look very relaxed. They're enjoying the crowds. It's a great day to run. But I can't tell you right now who looks like they're going to win. If you look on paper, it looks like Dababa, but Koske looks great.
All right, thanks so much, Carrie. We want to head back out to the finish line. Zoraida Samberlin is with this year's champion, and she's a repeat as well, Zoraida.
She's documenting this. Oh my God, I am so excited. Tatiana McFadden, congratulations. This is your 8th overall win, your 7th consecutive. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. It was really hard to come back since February with the clots, and you know, I didn't think I was going to be able to come back marathoning this year, but I did it, and it was really scary coming back, but I just took it day by day, training by training, and last month has gone amazing, and I'm so proud of myself, and crossing that finish line was pretty emotional and exciting, and just to have family here is amazing too, and hometown of Chicago, and couldn't ask for a better day and better weather.
Well, you had a lot of people rooting for you. I was with your mother, and I thought she was just dying on the sidelines for you there.
I bet she was, because it was coming down to a sprint race, and but you know, the last climb really kind of saves me because I love to climb, and I know I just got to finish really strong, but you know, it's racing for home and racing for family, and I just absolutely love this, and it's amazing to be back.
And speaking of your family, we have them here today. It's always quite a showing for you. And we have Hannah here, your sister.
Hannah, a Paralympian, and Addison, upcoming racer, and she's been here for 5 years, and Hannah's been here, and she's heading to Tokyo with me, and so it's amazing. She doesn't do marathons yet. I'm trying to convince her. She's a sprinter. I'm trying to tell her to come out.
You never know. Maybe that's what's next, right? Beautiful. And I hear that you're really good friends with all of the other girls in the races also.
Yeah, we're really good friends. You know, it's of course competition on the course, but you know, we've been racing together for so long that you know, it's nice to have that friendship and that growing, and they come to train with us, and you know, that's how we push each other and to get stronger and to get faster, and to sweep a course record is quite amazing. For a while, we were heading for a world record, and a little bit we slowed down the pace for the end because we knew it was going to be a sprint. But it's just amazing to be back. I'm just so happy, and you know, it was taking that risk to come back after, you know, such a severe injury, and I'm just so happy that I did because I love the sport so much.
Well, we're very happy for you. Chicago loves you, and I think you heard it, all the cheering here. It was really beautiful, and your health is really, really well now.
It's really, really well. I have great doctors, both in Baltimore and in Boston, and they said, we want you to exercise, so why not marathons, you know, and I'll finish New York in November, and it's great to be back.
All right, Tatiana, congratulations again. Very, very proud of you. We'll send it back to you guys.
Zoraida, thank you so much. A very interesting development in the men's field. The fastest runner in history, Dennis Kimetto, and the 7th fastest runner in history, Stanley Biwott, are both out of the race. They've both been seen walking.
And they're both former champions. Kimetto won her in 2013, the world record holder. Biwott won in 2015, both out.
Now, you guys were not expecting a lot from Kimetto, and Biwott has a history of dropping out in races anyway. So
yeah, it's been a rough couple of years for these two. All the best to them, but they need to get back. They need to get healthy and then build on their previous strength to do better things in the future.
All right, we'll be back with more of the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. The last time we had a look at the women's field, Tirnish Dababa was looking over her shoulder at somebody running with her, and she's now made a move. Let's go to Carrie right now, who is with Tirnish, I guess, if you would. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, guys. Yeah, Tirnish has definitely made a move here. She's put on about 3-4 seconds since the break. And Koskai, for the first time, she has actually looked back. And those of us who have know how to race, when you take a look back way over your shoulder, you're starting to think of what's going on behind me. Can I control myself and stay within myself and be able to hang on at the place that she's in right now? Because I think she can clearly tell Tirnish has put the burners on and she's looking down. Tirnish looks great. She's looking at the road. She's focused right now. We can still see Jordan back there. From what I can tell, she's about 45 to 50 seconds back. I can't quite see exact splits there for her, but she's still within eye shot of me, 3rd place. But Tirnish right now looks really good. Tim and Ed, I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I think she is getting into her own plan now. She's ready to run. She's got, just over 6 miles left of this race, and it looks like she's ready to go.
Well, Kerry, this definitely looks like the decisive move of the race thus far. Do you think Dibaba has just picked up the pace that much, or are we seeing the effects of Kosgei starting to fatigue?
No, I think I saw Dibaba actually put her head down here and just start to go. She looked like she was ready to get away from her a little bit. And Kosgei doesn't look bad by any means, but I think that this pace, just quickening this pace a little bit, is too much for Kosgei to handle.
Well, Dibaba's
You
on
can see her
about
here. She still has
2:18:30
good-
pace. Yep.
Well, the pace
Right,
at
she's still
30K
on
was
2:18.
1:38.29. Kerry, they were still on 2:18:30 pace at 30K. Jordan Haase was 42 seconds down at 30K and still on sub 2:20 tempo. So she's heading for a US course record, which belongs to Joan Benoit Samuelson from 85 at 2:21 clocking. So if Jordan can hold it together, she's still on something very special.
Kind of look like they may not be far from the West Loop. That's
Well,
where the Merrill Lynch cheer zone is. And Kaylee Dion. Kerry, we'll get back to you in just a second. We want to check in with Kaylee.
Party's getting started. We have a DJ over to my left. We have runners running by. We have people dancing, cheering, and ringing those blue bells for sure to make sure those runners. We have people dancing, cheering, and ringing those blue bells for sure to make sure those runners feel the love right out here in Greek Town. I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Kaylee. And we're going to stay out in Chicago. We're going to go head now to Chinatown, where Emily Flores is standing by. Hey, Emily.
Good morning to you from Chinatown. Yes, the energy very high here. We're at mile 21 and 22. I'm going to step out of the way because we have a lot of personnel. Here are our elite runners right now as we speak, passing through. This is the last stretch, the final cultural enclave that they will come through. They have 5 miles left till that Grant Park finish line. Look at these. Their steam is still high. They are going, and the energy out here, the cowbells, the lions running through the famous Chinatown Gateway. The red for, of course, good luck. This is the color out here, and the lions representing good luck to all of the thousands of runners we have. Again, the elite runners just coming through. A couple of new things this year. We have 2 of the lions you see, but they actually have 4 lions here today because this is the 40th annual Bank of America Chicago Marathon. So this is something exciting for Chinatown. Also here in the cultural aspect, this is the 3rd largest international representation we have here for the marathon. There are more than 1,300 runners from China running this race here are coming over at this point as well, making their way to see their runners coming through. Incredible. Mile 21 and 22. This is the area where lots of runners, of course, hit the wall. So it's great to have all the energy that we have and all the spectators cheering on with their cowbells and loud cheers. We have lots of people with having their fiance running. Lots of stories I hear. You'll have to come back again, but for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right, we want to check in with one more stop. Cesar in Pilsen, who's already...
Briefly, how important is it to be part of this?
Oh, it's very important. And as you mentioned, we've been here since 5 a.m., hustling and grinding, setting up the tables, getting the provisions that we needed to get up. We have hundreds of volunteers, different organizations and stuff. So it's very important to give the ambitions and everything. So keep up the spirits of the runners.
Thanks, Eduardo, guys. We're live from Pilsen on 18th Street. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Cesar.
All right, let's head over to Todd now, who's with the men's field, which has, we're looking at a group of 4 now.
What a shift. Oh, it happened so fast. Mile 20 was a 4:57. Then they slowed down to a 5:09. And it was like that was the time that Kirui said, no more. I'm going to press it and break this back up. And now mile 22 was a 4:39. We're down to 4. But Rupp looks really, really good. During the water stop right after mile 21, he's the one that surged the front and went way ahead of everyone to get his water. And then he threw his water to the side and then got back in behind, just like he wants to turn this thing into a track race.
Well, Abel won this last year. Kirui did. Todd, I think he's familiar with the course. You think it's a matter of that he wants to just push to the end and try to break the rest of these 3 other guys that are hanging around?
I think no doubt about it. I think Kirui knows Rupp's speed. Everybody should. They also know his pedigree. Bronze medalist in the marathon, silver medalist in the 10K. Amazing times all around the board. So he's going to have to do something now if he wants to win this.
Do you think they've left it too late, though, maybe, Todd, already? Because Galen has got to be still comfortable, I reckon.
Oh, It's amazing how comfortable. It's pretty loud out here. The crowd support has been amazing today, but Rupp was smiling at the crowd. Somebody yelled his name. They had a big sign at mile like 19, and he's just really looking around and having a good time. I mean, I know now it's crunch time, but if I had to pick someone out of these three right now, Lima, Kirui, and Rupp, I'd have to go with Rupp because he's turning this thing into a track race.
So the 22nd mile was 4:39. Do you feel like they've let off on that at all, or is this another quick one, another 4:39 here?
No, I think now it's on. I think this is right in the 4:35 to 4:40 range because they dropped Kipyego, so they didn't slow back down. What they were doing before is they had run the 4:50, slow back down, and then the pack would pack back up into 12. But I think this is the final push to the finish line.
Well, my feeling on this is they've had an hour and a half to turn this into a marathon race, and they've left it too late. Galen Rupp is in his territory now. They've been out for 1 hour and 52 minutes. They've only got about 20 minutes to go. Rupp has got to be so confident there. And he's tucked in. He's got a couple of pacemakers.
All right, we shall see. We'll be right back with more on the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Welcome back to the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We're going to head right out to Carrie Tullison. Looks like Tirnish Dibaba's in a race by herself here, Carrie.
She's all alone now. She's at least 20 seconds up, and she looks great. In London, this was the spot where she had some stomach issues, and I think Tim can speak more to this, but she actually had to stop, try to relieve herself. She was having issues there, but now she looks good. She looks great. Doesn't look like she's attacking a pace, though. You can clearly see, and she can see the pace truck has her time. It says 2:18:27 for a projected finish. She's not looking past our motor vehicle. She's looking at the ground, and she's just looking at winning, it looks like right now. So if she's trying to set a record, she needs to pull it together here. We just passed 22 miles, and she needs to start attacking. Like Todd talked about the track race, if she wants to use her track skills here, this is when she needs to do it.
She's running out of road, though, in which to attack Paula Radcliffe's, get Paula Radcliffe's course record of 2:17:18. In London, her splits were very, very disproportionate. Really quick first half, much slower second half. Today is more even, but she's probably going to be slower than London.
Look at this. On the men's side, we got Galen Rupp in the lead for the first time. Less than 3 miles to go. And this is a killer move. This is a knockout move right now. He's trying to put this away. Yes, right? He's been waiting. He has a superior track speed. He's more than a minute faster than Kirui is for 10K, 45 seconds faster on a 5K. This is a knockout blow right now we're watching.
You think Kirui looks like he sees it, looks like he knows it. It's almost like he's trying to catch him. And Rupp looks good.
I'm going to go out there. Sorry, Seth. I'm going to go out there and say I don't know what these guys expected. You've got the guy who is the fastest 10,000 meter runner of about the last 6 years in the race with you. We know he's in fantastic shape. He's an Olympic medalist. He was second in Boston. He said Alberto said yesterday he's actually found his 3 marathons so far pretty easy. He hasn't won them all, but he's found them pretty easy. Alberto said he's in much better shape than he was before Boston. In Boston, he had 2 cortisone jabs a fortnight before the race. He nearly pulled out. He had 2 cortisone jabs into his foot. His preparation for this has been supreme, and he was very, very strong. He was ready for something much faster, but it was just going to be fast in the last 4 or 5 miles. He's ready for that as well.
Is there any chance they did not know everything you just said?
No, they got to have done their homework.
And that 23rd mile, he just threw down 4 minutes and 31 seconds, and that is why we have a gap between he and Abel Kirui that seems to be growing with every stride.
He really does. You called this one, Tim. I mean, he really does look like he's in his element. Like, this is where he's comfortable.
Well, what I'm interested to see here now, I sat with Alberto in his bedroom yesterday for about half an hour talking about Galen Rupp, and one thing he talked about was Galen Rupp's arm carriage. He said Galen has changed the way he carries his arms. He has them closer to his chest now, and that saves energy, and it's what most of the Africans do anyway, and they've worked out that actually saves energy from the normal arm running carriage.
We want to head out to Todd Williams, who is right there with the leader. Todd.
All I can say is wow. I mean, when he made the break and he looked so comfortable. I mean, Ed, we talked to him yesterday, for a long period of time, and he said, this is the best buildup I've ever had. But these guys knew it was coming. We just passed mile 24. He went 4:40, 4:31. Now he's back on 4:35. I mean, it's nonstop, and he looks great doing it. So there's no doubt in my mind that this preparation was amazing, but I'm just really surprised that the rest of the field didn't do something much earlier.
I mean, credit to Abel Kirui, Todd, mind you, because sorry, Abel Kirui in the background still battling away and looking pretty strong.
That's it, exactly. I think as soon as the move was made, he's keep fighting and fighting and fighting.
He looks like he's fighting, but Galen does not. I have to give you credit, Tim. You called this right from the beginning. You said that you thought that he would be the one to watch and he could be the one to win. And you have called it. I'd like to take this moment to point out that he's from my hometown of Portland, Oregon.
I mean, nothing Alberto said is, his training has not just been very consistent, but it's been exactly what he wanted. He's had 7 runs of 25 miles. Galen actually said he did one run of 27 miles. So he liked the idea of going slightly further than a marathon psychologically in training. But he's ticked all the boxes in his training. His track sessions have been fantastic. His tempo runs have been fantastic. He lifts weights twice a week with Jordan Hasse. They don't leave any stone unturned.
And Ed, we talked about the altitude issue before. You said normally someone like him might train at altitude. He didn't do that, but he did also talked about how a couple of rooms in his home are set to altitude. So he's used to, they're training in a very specific, very calculated way.
Right. In years past, he's come up to Utah to do his altitude component, but he has basically converted his home into an altitude chamber. He spends most of his time in there. He runs on a treadmill many times, does many miles at altitude, and certainly he is getting that benefit right now. And it's interesting as you contrast the styles. Galen Rupp looks so comfortable running at this pace, whereas Abel Kirui is all over the place, just digging down and getting dropped with each continuous stride that goes through. And he has certainly prepared himself, has Galen Rupp, for this, and now just has to hold on for the last less than 2 miles at this point.
What's Galen thinking at this point in time?
Well, I think he is thinking that he just needs to maintain his form, keep things rolling. He is now running at a pace that is certainly sub 450 pace, and just needs to keep that rhythm going. And as he does so, he continues to open up the distance.
He ran mile 23 in 4:31. He's just run mile 24 in 4:30. I mean, he is so zoned in, so focused here. He might take a little peek over his shoulder occasionally, but that gap actually to last year's champion Abel Kirui is growing. He's a tiny dot in the distance. But suddenly from about 70 yards, it's grown to about 150 yards.
It's amazing how both of the runners in this race, men's and women's, who you thought would be the favorites, have both just pulled away from their competition.
And what is interesting, Galen was saying yesterday to me that he feels that track races are you're in pain for the last 2 or 3 laps of a 5,000 or a 10,000. He said in a marathon you have to get your head around the fact you're going to be in pain for a long time, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So he's been prepared for this. You can psychologically gather yourself and get ready for this sort of last surge and the pain you're going to hold on to for 20 minutes.
And it's interesting because I always wonder if it's more of a physical or mental challenge, and it marries the two. They go hand in hand. And
it was really a challenge of patience for him, because there was a great degree of patience for him not to go out earlier. But then once he got within that last 4 or 5 miles and realized that he could probably roll down 430 miles continuous, then he took off. So often they say the marathon is patience followed by destruction, and we're seeing the destruction that Galen Rupp is wreaking on the rest of the field right now.
You think he was underestimated?
No, I think we all looked at him and thought that he's going to do great things.
No, I mean his fellow runners. By his fellow runners.
I think they were just kind of lulled into the early pace, and they were just taking advantage of the fact that, hey, we're not having to work that hard. But I think anyone who wanted to win should have re-altered their game plan, because when you have a guy that's that fast on the track, running that easy for so long, he's going to beat you 10 times out of 10 over the last couple miles.
And what is this doing for American running and the style of training? Is there a special style of training happening here?
Well, no, but the USA is a country of 300+ million people. There's great resources here financially. You have these fabulous training squads dotted around the country. After Kenya and Ethiopia, the USA is undisputed world number 3 power in distance running. And actually, with Galen leading the charge and a bunch of guys having a good run today like Chris Derrick, there's reason to believe that they can start penetrating that top 2. The East Africans have really enjoyed this dominance for 20 years and more, but the USA is still a growing force.
Right,
15 years. It's been 15 years since an American man won this race.
2002.
Khalid Kanuchi.
Khalid
the great.
Kanuchi.
And Khalid was a great champion. You know, 4 times a champion. He knew this course. Galen hasn't run here before, but his dad's from town.
Maywood.
He'll have a rough idea of the
He
town.
likes Chicago. This has got to feel good for his dad. You're right. His dad is from Maywood. He used to come here all the time in summers, he said, to visit family. He loves Chicago. It's got to feel pretty good for him to...
Galen's wife and kids are here. A bunch of family here apart from them.
And let's remember, this is only his 4th marathon.
That is
right?
amazing.
He started with
Sky's
the
the
Olympic
limit.
trials, went to the Olympics where he was the bronze medalist, 2nd at Boston, and then his first victory, provided he holds on, which he is going to here at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
This
Unbelievable.
is so exciting to see. I have to say.
I love it.
Product of Portland, University of Oregon, which has such a storied track tradition. He's taken that track background and really translated it. That does happen. Is this going to be like the new path? Just like Tirinish Dababa, she's had an amazing track background. Is this sort of the new path, or is it a typical path?
The world top marathon runner has a wonderful track pedigree, Eliud Kipchoge. You can look at Haile Gebrselassie, Paul Turgat, the great legendary characters. They all come from a track background. Paula Radcliffe spent probably 15, 20 years doing her apprenticeship on the track before she took up marathon running. And guess what? She was a great marathon runner. So I think the more complete, more consistent marathon runners come from a track background.
And that makes sense.
You know what, as I was doing my research for the race, in his three marathons, he's finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and obviously we're thinking here first again.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Astonishing. And he doesn't get the credit for what he's achieved over these last 10, 12 years. His consistency is quite remarkable. I guess because when he comes to major championships in the track, he doesn't win so often. He gets medals. He gets 2nd, 3rd, 4th. He's got an Olympic silver medal from 2012 over 10,000 meters. He's got an Olympic bronze medal now from Rio in the marathon. He doesn't get the credit, I guess, because there's always somebody who's in the limelight ahead of him.
The folks ahead of him have been people like Mo Farah, who he trains with, who are exceptional as well. I think it's great. It's exciting to see him. I know Sialpa's like, you know something. It's so exciting to see him at this marathon level. Road racing, I mean, the difference between track and road racing, making that transition, it's great to see him.
He actually doesn't train with Mo anymore. You know what? He lives 5 miles from the Nike campus in Portland. He says he runs to the track for a warm-up, does a track session, and then runs home. Now that is going to be a 20-mile block at least. And he's been doing 110 miles a week in training with another 15 miles on an underwater treadmill. This treadmill can move at a really fast pace. It can move at up to 5 minutes per mile tempo, which is pretty much race tempo for these guys. So he gets those extra miles under his belt, but actually without the same pounding that you'd get on the roads.
So is this sort of that Nike magic happening? I know it's because the Nike Oregon Project and Alberto Salazar, they're working together. I mean, is technology entering
I think it's
deeply into this now, the training process
technology and his talent, right?
Absolutely. It's throwing everything he possibly can, and this is where Salazar is so thorough. He leaves no stone unturned. He will try everything that is legal, and an underwater treadmill is great if you've got the money to go and buy one. I mean, how many people have?
Right, and an altitude chamber in your home and running. I mean, these are amazing tactics, but they appear to be paying off as it relates to Galen Rupp.
Ed, you've been in American distance running for 40 years. Have you ever seen an underwater treadmill? I've never even seen one.
I have seen an underwater treadmill.
How many are there in the USA?
Well, the underwater treadmills that I've seen are more for rehab purposes, not for running fast. They're for people who are coming off major leg injuries, and they get in and they gradually walk. But what he has is at a totally different level. And what an amount of work that this young man has done to put himself in this position right now. He's making one of the final turns, got a couple more turns to go, and he has just blown this field away, running consecutive 430 miles over the last little bit. He's got less than 400 meters to go now as he runs up the last little incline. He waited, he was patient, and then when the time came, 430 miles, one after the other, to completely obliterate this field.
Do you know what? It's many, many years since any World Marathon major was won by a non-African-born athlete. This is a legendary day for the sport of distance running, and it will raise so much hope in the hearts of non-African athletes, actually, that they can be challenged, they can be beaten. The Africans have played into his hands today. I don't think they've run that smart a race. They haven't really tested him over the marathon distance. They've tested him over 8 miles, maybe, and over that sort of distance, Galen's probably the best in the world.
It's exciting to see.
So your conjecture is somebody should have taken the lead and pushed him earlier. to test him.
The trouble is they've all got different managers. They all come from different training camps. So you don't get a team effort from anybody these days in the world of distance running. You know, it's a selfish sport. You train on your own. You do everything for yourself. You take the money home to your family.
And here he comes. Here he
can look over his shoulder all he wants. He's not going to see anybody because he was doing that work.
And this is, I think, the coming of age of Galen Rupp. This is not an Olympic trials domestic race. This is an international race of the very highest order. The world record holder was in this race for the marathon and the half marathon. They've been blown away by this man.
There he goes. There's the mayor right there at the finish line to win it, to cheer him on. Galen Rupp, an American, the first American to win the Bank of America Chicago Marathon since 2002. And amazing win, amazing run.
History here today in Chicago.
And a personal best for Galen there too to boot. I reckon that was about 2:09:20 unofficially.
That beats him.
And he's got his wife and kids there meeting him.
30 seconds better, yeah.
Yes.
Than he did in
30 seconds
Boston.
better. Wow. Congratulations. And here's Abel Kirui, last year's champion.
And you know what? We're criticizing, I guess, we're being hypercritical of one or two of the African athletes who might have challenged earlier, but Abel Kirui has looked really tough and strong. That's a great attempt to defend and retain his title.
That just tells you how strong Galen Rupp was and his style of race.
And they were moving. They were going at it at a 2:12 pace or so early on.
2:12 pace for a long
and
time.
Abel's still dancing.
Abel wants
despite being second, he's still dancing.
Number 1 and number 2.
Impressive.
That's Bernard Kipyego from Kenya in third place.
He did it.
He did it. Wow. An American win. Khalid Kanuchi. That's a long time to wait.
I have a feeling it won't be 15 years till the next time.
And Khalid will be amongst those punching the air as well. He'll be celebrating that as well.
Oh, the kiss for daddy.
Priceless.
Kiss for daddy.
That is worth the pain.
How sweet.
3.
I assume it's daddy. I assume. That's wonderful. Great to have your family there at the finish line.
Means everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Means everything.
And there's his coach,
Alberto Salazar.
Alberto
right there.
Salazar.
Very emotional.
This is huge for his program. Look at him. He's wow. Gotta be.
But that was a masterful run from Galen. I've just worked out his second half. He ran 65.49 at halfway with that pack. I reckon his second half was 63.30, with most of the hard running coming in the last 10K. So, again, we tend to say track speed doesn't matter in marathons because it's such a test of strength, but they reduced it to a test of track speed today because Galen's leg speed, when he kicked away, they just couldn't match it. I mean, Kirui tried desperately. He looked strong.
He did.
Put up a little bit of resistance, but that was masterful dominance from Galen.
He really ran within himself. It's going to be exciting when the time comes when he gets in a race that is a paced race, maybe a London or whatnot, to see exactly how fast he can go.
That'll be his one point of frustration, is that he hasn't come out today with the time he wanted to reflect his hard work and his fitness. And he'll have to wait. He'll have to wait for a spring race, I guess. One of those flat, fast courses, be it London, Rotterdam. Maybe he'll go back to Boston. Who knows? He'll want to go to Boston, I guess.
And he had said that he came here to run fast. He wanted to run with guys who...
He wanted to win, too. He did want to.
But again, the personality of the race just was not a fast race. And so he took the win.
And there's Teranish Dababa. She is leading with the women, as expected. And you called both of them here, Tim. We believe we're not going to.
Well, I don't think it was rocket science that Teranish was going to win. And actually, many people were saying Galen was going to win as well, which he did. And frankly, I think Galen would have probably won, however the race had panned out.
You think so?
I think so. I think he was ready to run 2 or 3 minutes quicker than that.
He seems to be peaking at the right time here.
But Teranish now is just trying to hone in on Paula Radcliffe's course record of 2:17.18. That's her goal.
She looks good.
Yeah, once she lost Kosgei, she has been running on her own, checking her watch on occasion, but just in a very, very good rhythm.
It's been an exciting race.
Do you guys think she's checking her watch? constantly, or
she just did.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised, but if she is, then it just shows how dialed in she is. You know, she knows what sort of splits she wants to be hitting. Maybe she's checking those kilometer times, those 5K splits. She's a very, very smart cookie, is Tirunesh Dibaba. She speaks pretty good English, but in a press conference, she refuses to use it.
She's saving that energy. Let's go out to Carrie Tullison to get her impression of what Tirunesh Dibaba is doing right now. Carrie.
Yeah, it's getting loud here. They had an exciting finish with Rupp, it sounds like. But Tirunesh, she is looking at her watch. But I think she's looking at her watch to see how much left she has to go. I don't think she's really concerned about the time now. I think she's more concerned about this win. And we've heard that Jordan is about a minute and a half behind, still having an amazing day. But Tirunesh just looks so smooth right now. She has, like I said, her eyes have been down on the road the entire way. She really hasn't had anyone to look around at in the last, I don't know, 6 miles or so. But she looks good, well within herself. She's so excited to be able to run. Her son is here. He's just over 2. And she's a mom now, and she said she's really excited about focusing now on the marathon, not focusing on the track anymore. And I think that we can clearly see that this marathon distance is right up her alley. She looks so smooth, like we said all along. But once she made that move, you guys, it was over, and it was all Tirunesh Dibaba.
Well, this is the sort of dominance she's used to. And, you know, to her credit, while on the track, we used to see her sprint to gold many, many times at Olympic and World Championship level. She is also capable of front running as well. I enjoy that. I like the fact that she's a complete runner. She doesn't mind pushing the pace hard and going from the front. And there's not many people who can do that. Plenty of people can sit in and sprint past rivals. Not many can actually push her pace for a long time. This has been a great run from Jordan Hasse, by the way, who was on about 2:20.15 tempo at 35K. She's a little way down, but she's still looking pretty strong for me, and she's heading possibly here for the fastest ever American time, Ed, on this course.
Well, yeah, that time was by Joan Benoit Samuelson back in 85, 2:21.21, and she's well under that time right now if she can hold that together. Again, she's kind of running on her own as well, and we see Dibaba now with 800 meters to go is going to be in the 2:18 and change pace, which she said she wanted to run fast here. You know, her personal best is 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 56 seconds, so it's going to be a little bit off of that, but still a very, very fast time on a very good day of running.
So everybody trying to accomplish their own goals today, if you will, in a way.
And here we see Galen Rupp getting some congratulations from folks right here at the finish line. Really happy to see an American winning the Chicago Marathon. What a thrill for him. What a great day. And for all the folks here, a lot of the fans, you always want to support a hometown favorite.
No, and Galen today has won his first international marathon, and Tirunesh is going to win her first marathon. She's finished third and second, I think, in her previous 2 marathons, and this will be a massive win for her. And again, another clocking under 2:20.
Yeah, that first win has to feel sweet.
Again, another example of an athlete with a great track pedigree, perhaps the best track pedigree in the world, transitioning successfully to the marathon and being able to use that track speed over the last half of this marathon.
You know what we tend to forget when we see these athletes running, because they're doing all the hard work today for a couple of hours, is the teams behind them. So the husband of Tirunesh Dibaba is a fellow called Sileshi Sihine, who used to be called Mr. Silver. He got Olympic silver medals in 2004, 2008. Then he retired. He's the main support behind Tirunesh. So somebody's looking after baby back at home. Somebody's keeping the house going. Somebody's paying the bills. Somebody's doing all this stuff. So these are like the point of a spear, these athletes. Behind them, there's a massive group of people who have contributed to these performances.
And in her case, somebody who understands what she's going through clearly. And that has to help.
And same for Galen, and we're assuming his wife as well.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And she has made the final turn and now headed for home and glory.
Tirunesh Dibaba, 32 years old, from Ethiopia. Several world records and Olympic medals.
Babyface destroyer, right?
That's what Tim calls her.
That's what she did today.
That's her nickname. She's not going to get the time that she wanted, and in fact, it's going to be just outside her personal best of 2:17.56. But it has, as we expected, been a day on which she has delivered dramatically with a fabulous second half.
So fast. Wow. Beautiful.
back in winning ways on the new surface, and she said she is absolutely committed to marathon running now. She is done with track. Galen says he's going to carry on running on the track, but Dibaba here says no, she is absolutely finished with track. She's a marathon runner proper, and surely for her now, after this win in a big time around 2:18.5, her next goal has to be zoning in on that world record.
She doesn't even look tired.
No.
And with her track credentials, she certainly is going to have a shot at that world record given the right conditions. What a great race, powerful race, dominating race.
Wow.
Tirinish Dibaba.
Amazing athletes.
Is still baby-faced, still destroying them.
Yeah, absolutely is. Is it more difficult to break away from the pack and run by yourself and the challenges that represents, or to have somebody pushing you?
That's a good feeling to have, I tell you that much, is when you are able to do that. I'm not sure. If it's for fast times, it's always nice to have someone right there with you until at least the last 5 or 6 miles, just helping break the wind, whatnot. And so the fact that she was able to do that on her own, and now we see Bridget Kosgei making that turn. She was the last running partner for Tirinish Dibaba until she finally got dropped. She's held things well together, and Jordan Hasay should be right behind her. Still running a very good time is Bridget Kosgei. Will be running just a little over 2 hours and 20 minutes.
This is going to be a massive personal best.
4 minutes off her personal best.
She's going to take over 4 minutes off her PR of 2:24.45 from Lisbon in October last year, exactly a year ago. She ran 2:24 in Portugal. Well, today she's going to run under 2:21. And she hung on very doggedly. She was determined to hang on to the coattails of Dibaba for a long, long time.
2:20.22, I think.
Wow, that is a quick second-place time.
Fantastic time. Maybe one of the fastest second-place time. Now here comes Jordan Hasay, the time that she would need to win to be 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 21 seconds to get that American course record time. And I think she's going to get it.
All right.
Well, she's chasing Joni's time of 2:21.21 from 1985. What, 32 years old?
She is pushing.
She's got it.
She is pushing.
Just under 2:21. I think it's 2:20.58, 59. That's a new American course record, beating the old American course record of Joan Benoit Samuelson, 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 21 seconds. Congratulations, Jordan Hasay.
That is an astonishing run. And you know what? She spent about, the last hour running on her own?
Yes.
That is a tough way to do it. It's one thing if you're out in the lead because the adrenaline is pumping. Right. You know you've got a big win coming at you. But to have been dropped means you have hit the straps, you have hit your maximum, and you still had to hang on. So that makes it a tougher run.
She looks like she's hurting a little bit there, but she pushed hard in those last few meters.
And a nice 2-minute PR for her as well.
That's right. All right, we're going to take a break for just a moment. We'll be back and talk to our champions. More from the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon in just a few minutes.
Welcome back to the 40th Annual Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I'm here with the men's winner, the first American in 15 years, Galen Rupp. Galen, you crossed the finish line all alone, the first American in 15 years to win this race. Explain that moment.
It's just incredible, you train so hard year in and year out, day in and day out, and to have a race like this where it all comes together and be able to win in a city that really is such a special place to me, given that my dad grew up here. Words can't describe the feeling across the line, seeing my family, my coach. I mean, this isn't just me. There's so many people as part of the Nike Oregon project. I felt like I've always had such great support from the Nike family, my coach Alberto Salazar, obviously my wife, kids. They all sacrifice so much, and it's for all of them. It's just a great day.
Take me back out on the course after that 35th kilometer, 36th kilometer. You're with Abel, the defending champion, and you made a break. Why did you decide to do it at that moment?
I hadn't really planned out when I was going to go, but I definitely wanted to wait, until at least 20 miles, 22 miles, the longer the better. I made the mistake in the past, I think, of going a little too hard too soon, and, you still got a long ways to go, several miles. So I really wanted to wait, but, I kind of just felt a little gap pulling away, and at that point it was like, you got to put the hammer down, just drive to the finish. So that was my plan.
This is only your 4th marathon ever. I mean, this is relatively new to you after your great finish in Boston. How does it feel to actually make your big win here in Chicago in such a big marathon?
It's tremendous. I feel like I've been second so many times in my career and just, always this close. So, I just am so thrilled that I was able to pull it out here. And again, in a city like this, the crowd support was incredible. You go through different areas and it's just like booming, how loud it is. And it really picks you up and picks your spirits up. And but at the same time, just try to relax. And then when I make the move, be decisive. So that was my goal.
And you said you haven't seen your dad yet. He's from Maywood. What is he going to say to you when you do see him being the champion in his hometown?
He's just going to tell me what he always does. That he loves me and he's proud of me. And that's all my parents have ever done. Love me unconditionally and always supported me no matter what. And today's no different, win or lose. So it's going to be great to see him. So I got to go find him.
First American men's champion in 15 years. Galen, thank you so much. I want to bring in the man that you at least succeeded in that title, Khaled Kanuchi, the 4-time Chicago winner. What does it feel like to see Galen win as an American here?
Wow, it's a huge win for his career, for the United States. We are all proud of him. I think he deserved it. He's a winner, and he showed it today. We are so happy for him.
You won this course 4 times. Explain to the people at home how hard it is to actually win here.
Well, it's very difficult to win. I think Mr. Gary Pinkowski brought, usually he brings a good field, tough competition all around, and you have to be very, very good to win it. I think Galen is going to win it more times, I hope.
As many as 4, you think?
Probably more. He has a bright future.
All right, guys, thank you so much, Khaled Kanuchi, and this year's champion, Galen Rupp. Congratulations. Enjoy the win. Guys, back to you, the 2 latest American winners here in Chicago.
Thanks a lot, Alex. We're going to head out to a break, and we'll be right back with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon after this.
Yes, it is the first time. Thank you very much.
So you were expecting to break a world record here. You wanted it to be your personal best. Neither happened, but you are still the winner. How did the course feel?
የዓለም ሬከርዱን ለመስበር ፈልገሽ ነበር፣ የራስሽንም ሰዓት ለማሻሻል ፈልገሽ ነበር። ሁለቱም አልተሳካም። ለማንኛውም ግን አሸናፊ ነሽ። ምን ይሰማሻል?
ማለት ይሄ ውድድር ያለ ፔስ ሜከር ነው የሮጥኩት። ብቻዬን ነው 42ቱንም የጨረስኩት እንደመራው። ሪከርድ ለመስበር ደግሞ ፔስ ሜከር ያስፈልጋል። ትንሽም ንፋስ አለ። ግን ኮርሱ በጣም ሪከርድ የሚሰበርበትና ፋስት የሆነ ቦታ ነው። በጣም ደስ ብሎኛል በማሸነፌ።
Yes, I ran without a pacemaker. The entire 42 kilometers, pretty much, I was leading. In order to break a world record, it's generally helpful to have pacemakers. There was also a little bit of wind. However, the course is a very good course. It's one that's really suited for breaking records on, but I am extremely happy.
And how do you feel about all the neighborhoods in Chicago? This is your first time here.
መጀመሪያ ጊዜሽ ነው እዚህ ስትሮጪ። የቺካጎን ሰፈሮች በሙሉ አይተሻል። ምን ይሰማሻል ስለዛ?
ማለት እዚህ በማሸነፌ በጣም ደስ ብሎኛል። ብዙ ደጋፊዎች አሉ ሞራል ሲሰጡን ነበርና ይሄ ውድድር ደግሞ ለኔ ትልቅ ነገር ነው ለማሸነፍ። የሶስተኛ ጊዜ ነው ማራቶን። ይሄ ውድድር ለማሸነፍ ብዬ ዓለም ዋንጫ ሽልማቱ እንኳን ሲሰጥ ሄጄ አልወሰድኩም። ለዚህ ዝግጅት ጥሩ ዝግጅት ሳረግ ነበርና ማሸነፌ ደስ ብሎኛል።
I'm very happy to have won. This was very special for me. This is my 3rd marathon, and I'm very happy to have won here. I really worked very hard for this. In fact, after the World Championships, there was an award ceremony that I missed because I went straight towards preparation for this race.
Well, still the 3rd fastest runner, or woman runner in the world, so congratulations to you. We hope to see you back here next year.
I'd love to.
All right, thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Marathon. Here with me now, Executive Director of the race, Gary Pinkowski, to award the winners. Gary?
Oh, Alex, what a great day. It's... And what a day we had with a time of 2:09:20. He's our 40th Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion with a time of 2:09:20. Let's hear it for Galen Rupp. And your son Grayson is joined, and his son Grayson. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon champions, Terenish Dababa and Galen Rupp.
All right, welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon as we see the two winners and little ceremony there. Beautiful to see.